your research. So once you are done with your preliminary research and you have all the arguments jotted down, now start framing questions and sub questions, around the points that you have written. So, for instance, in farm laws, for example, so you would, there could be various questions like, would the farmers' lands be taken away, or what is MSP and how is it relevant here, or what would be the government's stance be on MSP. So there would be a lot of tiny questions which you can frame once you've done a thorough, comprehensive research.
Okay.
So these are the questions you need to frame. And once you've framed these questions and jotted them down, arrange and rearrange them to come to an outline of your research paper. So once you've understood the issue, once you've framed the questions, you would know where to start from and how to flow the article, where to end, etc. So then you arrange these questions in such a manner, and that would be an outline of your research paper.
Okay.
Now, once this has been done, you should start an in-depth research into each of these questions. Now, an in-depth research means you should pick up each question and then start reading them in depth. Go back to the primary laws, read them again, and read them now with an intent to answer these questions. Like, for
Okay.
example, do the farm laws take away the farmer's land? Now you go back to the act, you read that particular provisions, you see if that's actually the case, if can there be an alternative interpretation, have there been any case laws with regard to this? I mean, with regard to farm laws, there may not be a lot of case laws, but yeah, as in general, if you are researching on any issue, then you can actually refer to case laws and see if there have been any case laws in that particular question. So that ways you started your research broadly, and then you started narrowing it, by framing questions and sub questions, and then
Okay.
addressing each sub question in detail.
Okay.
Now, you
All
should
right.
again make a note of all arguments and points which you come across while researching for these sub questions. So, you should pick up each sub question, research in depth, and then prepare a note of all arguments and points, whatever you come across, either
Mm-hmm.
on the reading of laws, case laws, blogs, articles, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
that way you would have your subtopics of your research paper ready.
Okay.
Now, proofreading, editing, and formatting. Now, as I said, this is extremely important. So once you've done your research and you have written your first draft, and then you reviewed the first draft and come to the second draft, finally once you've done with the content bit of it, then you need to go to proofreading, editing, and formatting. So you should read and reread your paper. You should check for every trivial mistake which may be there. So there could be grammatical errors, there could be spelling errors. So these things need to be looked at. Now, formatting is a very important part. I've seen a lot of my interns, when they would send me work, a lot of times I found that the things are not justified. Yeah, they haven't paid attention maybe to the font, which font should be used, and it should be uniform across the text, etc. So these are tiny things which create kind of a impression on the reader's mind. So if even if you submit a research paper which has excellent content, but it doesn't have a good look and feel to it, then the paper may just get rejected. So therefore, you need to focus on the form as well as the content. Now, targeted research. This is extremely important because research is vast. So once you start reading, researching, you wouldn't know where to start, where to end, and many people do get lost in between. They don't know what they are doing. So you should, I think, before one starts writing, you should actually answer these questions. That what are you writing? What is it? Is it an academic piece of research? Is it a professional piece of research? If it is an academic piece of research, is it argumentative? Is it descriptive? What question are you answering? So these are the things you should address. Now, for whom are you writing? Who is the targeted audience? Are you sending your research paper for publication? Is it for a paper presentation? Are you sending it for a blog post publication? Who is your intended audience? Now, once you know who your intended audience is, you should then figure out what do your audience want. So, for example, if you are writing for students, so now students would want a concept to be very simply explained. If you are, if your intended audience are maybe academicians, maybe they would want more theoretical perspectives there. If it's professionals, then they would want more practical insights in the paper. So you should always think who your intended audience is and what do they require. Now, how can you give them the same? And this is where, you add value to your research paper. So once you start writing, you know what you are doing, for whom you are doing, and how can you achieve that stated goal. So that way, your research in itself becomes very targeted and specific. And there's little chance of, your research going vast or you getting lost in between.